can't bear it anymore. She rushes down, picks up her little brother, climbs back up the tree, and there, coiled up at the side of the trail, is a big poisonous snake. We find many other examples of the intelligent use of objects as tools in Gombe, and we now know that across Africa, chimpanzees in every place they've been studied use different objects for different purposes. And because it seems that these tool-using behaviors are passed from one generation to the next through observation, it can be described as a primitive culture. And so chimpanzees, like us, have their own primitive cultures. In fact, I could go on for a long time talking about similarities between them and us in social behavior. And it shouldn't surprise us, because biologically they're so like us. Biologically, they're more like us than they are like gorillas. You could have a blood transfusion from a chimpanzee if you match the blood group. Their immune system is so like ours that they catch or can be infected by all known human contagious diseases. And this isn't surprising when you think that the DNA, the genetic material of chimpanzees and humans, differs by only just over 1%. We are 98.6% genetically the same as chimpanzees, at least in the structure of the DNA. The brain, the chimpanzee brain, if you look at it, is almost the same as the human brain in its anatomy. It's just a bit smaller. So it shouldn't really surprise us, should it, that chimpanzees are highly intelligent, that they have so many social behaviors like ours, and that they have emotions similar to ours as well: happiness, sadness, fear, despair. In fact, the chimpanzees prove to us that there is no sharp line dividing us from the rest of the animal kingdom. It's a very blurry line. It's getting blurrier all the time. And because we now know absolutely for sure that we are not the only beings on the planet with personality, mind, and feelings, it shows that we are part of and not separated from this amazing animal kingdom. These are the creatures with whom we share the planet. And so it's rather sad that chimpanzees, who can be seen as ambassadors from the animal kingdom, reaching out towards us and saying, don't we matter too? And it's sad that they are becoming extinct. In the wild, there were way over 1 million when I began in 1960, estimated on the amount of tropical forest where they live. Today, the very most 300,000, at least 300,000 are living in increasingly isolated patches of forest, in smaller and smaller numbers as human populations grow and the forest habitat is destroyed. And in some cases, there are so few chimpanzees in such a small patch of forest which is separated so far from other forests that in the long term they simply won't be able to survive because their gene pool is so small. This happened to Gombe, and it was about 13 years ago when I flew along the eastern shore of Lake Tanganyika, which is where the Gombe National Park is. I knew the forest was disappearing outside Gombe, but until then I had no idea of quite how bad the destruction was. Because the only trees that I could see looking down outside the park were in really, really steep valleys where even desperate farmers couldn't try to cultivate, where even women desperate for firewood for cooking couldn't clamber. And Gombe National Park is only 30 square miles, it's tiny. And there it was, with cultivated fields coming right up to the borders, land outside the park that was becoming increasingly like a desert, this once lush forest, land where clearly more people were trying to live than it possibly could support, people with no money to go and buy food from elsewhere, struggling to survive. Their numbers increased by refugees from over the lake, from Congo and also from the north, from Burundi, because of all the ethnic violence and conflict in that region. So it was a sobering time, thinking to myself, how can we even try to save these famous chimpanzees when the people living outside the park are having such a difficult time? And that led to the program, the Jane Goodall Institute program, that we call Take Care. And Take Care is trying to improve the lives of the people living in the villages around Gombe. Today we're in 24 of these villages. We didn't go in as a bunch of white people saying to the villagers, as so often happens, we're really sorry for you, we know you're having a tough time, and we've decided that we'll do this to improve your lives, or we'll do that to improve your lives. We sent in a team of Tanzanians. We sat down in the traditional African way and talked to the elders and asked them, what do you think we could do to make your lives better? And of course, nobody was really concerned about conservation or the environment. They were concerned about their own health, and they were concerned about education for their children. So we began that way. But it wasn't long before the villagers wanted to take part in the other programs that we could offer. Farming methods most suitable to this very degraded land. Ways of restoring fertility to land that was overused. So that within 2 years, a piece of dead land, or seemingly dead land, could be productive again without the use of chemical fertilizers or pesticides. We began working with groups of women, offering them the opportunity to take out tiny loans to start their own projects, to make some money for themselves for the very first time. And we never hand out money unless the project is an environmentally sustainable project, that it won't damage the environment unduly. And we worked with women because it's been shown that all around the world, as women become more empowered and better educated, family size begins to drop. And this, of course, is a big problem around Gombe and so many other parts of the planet. There are just so many people. We provide scholarships to keep girls in school, because the family will always choose, if it doesn't have much money, to keep the boy in school. So our scholarships help the girls. And we provide information at the same time about family planning and also HIV/AIDS education. Well, we've now cooperated with other NGOs. We've been able to provide some water projects to improve the quality of the water without harming the streams, to improve the sanitation, to put up some dispensaries, and also a few classrooms. And so the people around Gombe are really, really happy that we're there. And just as we hoped, they're now beginning to help us to look after the chimps. They're now beginning to volunteer to patrol